私はもう本当に石破さんのせいで怖くてたまりません。今、石破さん移民をたくさん入れようとして、このままじゃ日本はレイプ大国になってしまいます。国を返せ！私たちの国を返せ！日本を返せ！安心できる日本を返せ！
Recently, a new policy in Japan has caused enormous controversy. On the eve of Indian Prime Minister Modi's visit to Japan, Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba not only announced the goal of accepting more than 50,000 Indian immigrants, but also stated that short-term exchanges between the two countries would rise to 500,000. Before that, Ishiba had delivered the opening speech at the summit of 50 African countries, announcing that Japan would invest $5.5 billion in new initiatives across the continent. He also created a special visa program for African immigrants moving to Japan. 4 Japanese cities were designated as homes for immigrants from Nigeria, Tanzania, Ghana, and Mozambique. According to Ishiba, the goal was simply to address Japan's labor shortage and revitalize rural areas suffering from population decline. For example, the city of Kizugawa was designated as a home for Nigerians willing to live and work in Japan, with a special visa category for talented and innovative young Nigerians, in addition to exemptions for low-skilled workers. Other cities were chosen as well. Nagai, in Yamagata, for Tanzanians, Sanjo, in Niigata, for Ghanaians, and Kanji, in Ehime, for Mozambicans. Japan hopes to strengthen cooperation with these 4 African countries, increase the population of its cities, and boost regional development. Ishiba admitted that population aging brings major challenges and stated that Japan needs to better understand Africa. He asked African countries to help Japan tackle population decline and the shrinking of agricultural land. But what does this really mean? Bringing in Africans, Muslims, and Indians to have children with Japanese women? It seems even Ubisoft was too visionary. Darth Vader wasn't wrong. Forecasts point out that by 2025, in 20 Japanese cities, foreigners will account for more than 10% of the population. There are also NGOs pressuring Japan to receive more refugees from the Middle East and Africa. Ishiba's cabinet policies don't stop there. In addition to expanding immigration, sending funds abroad, and offering social benefits to immigrants, they also plan to impose heavy taxes on the Japanese people. These measures have the support of mainstream media and so-called progressive liberals. However, young Japanese are strongly opposed. The polarization is immense. Polls show that 68% of voters over 70 support Ishiba and 70% think he should not resign. Among voters under 30, however, 88% do not support him and 68% believe he should step down. This reveals the interests behind such support. With fewer young people paying into pensions, there is less money left for retirees. So, the elderly support immigration to secure their pensions, caring little about the long-term consequences. Ishiba's justice minister even declared that, in the face of declining population and aging, it is essential to accept a large number of foreigners to build an orderly coexistent society and keep Japan vibrant and open. In the comments below the interview, criticism was heavy. Ordinary citizens bear the negative impacts of immigration, while the benefits go to businessmen, politicians, and liberal elites, exactly what has already happened in Europe. France, the United Kingdom, and Germany show what happens. Opening the doors to African and South Asian immigration brought increased crime, loss of national cohesion, and irreversible cultural changes. The population replacement in London over the past decades is proof of that. The religion, culture, and identity of natives were eroded by the strong cohesion of Islam and tribalism. If even multicultural Europe suffered so much, imagine the impact on an ethnically homogeneous society like Japan's. The risks of conflict and fragmentation could be even greater. And all of this originates from the old problem of declining birth rates. In 2024, the number of births in Japan fell for the 9th consecutive year, the lowest since 1899. The fertility rate dropped to 1.2. Within 20 years, the average age of Japanese citizens will reach around 56. It's not just Japan. Most countries in the world have already fallen below the replacement rate of 2.1. From India to Turkey, from China to Europe, fertility has collapsed. In China, the rate is already around 1.0, with Shanghai at just 0.5. To put this into perspective, even Scandinavian countries have higher rates. The consequences are not some distant extinction in 1,000 years, but immediate problems: rising cost of living, longer retirement ages, and declining education quality. In South Korea, the fertility rate dropped to 0.72 in 2023, the lowest in history, leading the government to declare a state of emergency. In 2024, there was a small recovery to 0.75, with a 3.6% increase in births. This only happened because radical changes were made in the labor market: restrictions on overtime, promotion of work-life balance, financial benefits for couples with children, free childcare, subsidized transportation, and extended parental leave. All of this cost billions of dollars and even involved private companies offering million-dollar bonuses for each birth. The lesson is clear. 1. There is no single solution to the low birth rate problem. 2. Comprehensive policies, maintained over time, are more effective than any isolated measure. In the end, what is happening in Japan is a reflection of a global problem. Governments prefer easy, immediate, and cheap solutions on paper, like opening the doors to mass immigration instead of facing the real root of the problem: the falling birth rate. It is simpler to import foreign labor than to create serious policies that make young people feel secure about getting married, building a family, and having children. But the cost of that choice is high: cultural dilution, rising crime, social tension, and an identity crisis that could be even more devastating than the demographic crisis itself. South Korea, with all its mistakes and successes, at least understood that the battle has to be fought at home, encouraging its own citizens to once again believe in the future. Japan, on the other hand, seems willing to trade its millennia-old social cohesion for a stopgap solution that only pleases politicians, businessmen, and elites far removed from reality. The truth is that no nation can sustain itself if it no longer believes in itself. A country that does not care for its youth, that does not invest in the birth of future generations, is doomed to disappear, whether through declining birth rates or cultural replacement. History shows us that once a society loses confidence in its ability to reproduce its own culture, values, and people, it begins a slow decline that is almost impossible to reverse. Therefore, if Japan truly wants a vibrant future, it doesn't need 50,000 Indians or 200,000 Africans. It needs Japanese who want to get married, start families, and believe that bringing new lives into the world is worthwhile. The challenge is not solved by importing workers, but by rebuilding trust in the very idea of family, stability, and a future worth striving for. Any policy that does not start from this point is nothing more than a temporary bandage to cover a wound that keeps on bleeding. And this is not just Japan's challenge. It is a challenge that every modern nation will face as birth rates collapse worldwide. The choice is clear: either invest in the hope of future generations or outsource survival to immigration, with all the risks and conflicts it brings. But now I want to know your opinion. Do you think Japan's solution is really to open the doors to immigrants, or should the path be to encourage young Japanese to start having children again? Leave your answer in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. See you in the next video.